Good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? How is everybody this morning? Get my screen sharing going here. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen now. See people coming in here first thing. That's what I like to see. What's up, folks? What's up, RJ River? What's up, Strife? What's up, Sookie? Manny Jr. Glad to have you guys here. So let's get to talking about what's going on with the markets. Let's talk about some of our trade plans that we've got out there. And what's up, Junior? Good morning, man. Thanks for chiming in. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. If you guys have questions or want to go ahead and start getting your ticker requests in, hey, what's up, Navy Plum? Good to see you. If you want to go ahead and start getting any ticker requests in or questions, etc., feel free to go ahead and start posting those in the chat. We'll start to work on those here in just a few. But before we get started on that, I'm going to jump into just kind of what I'm seeing here, generally speaking, looking at the markets and futures. And then we'll get into some of those trade plans that we currently have out there. And we'll work on a couple of new ones that we can hash out together here live on the FOMO live stream, courtesy of Xtrades. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I need to get a plug, put it on the radio stations. All right. On the Spotify podcast stations. Probably the more current term. All right, so looking at futures, a couple of things, and I was just actually kind of working on catching up on my charting a little bit before we got started, or before I started the live stream, I should say. I was noticing this. I hadn't mapped it out yet. Might actually sit a little bit more. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Might sit a little bit more like that. So, in a little bit of a symmetrical triangle here, which means things could really go either way. We just put in a new small supply zone overhead and added some to an existing demand zone here just below. Kind of looks like it could be tight price action, but I also feel like if we get a break of one of these trend lines, we should start to, we should probably take out the nearest supply and or demand zone. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure you're marking these trends on your chart. Put some kind of alerts on them so you'll know, okay, well, if I'm in a bullish trade and the market starts breaking down, maybe, even though my ticker might have some relative strength and might be able to hold up decently, it might change sort of how you're approaching things or your sizing of the position, whatever the case might be. So, again, overall, I think things are maintaining where they need to maintain. This was a near loss of this weekly trend line. We did ultimately close that week back above it, and we actually had a nice clean bounce off of it after reclaiming it, and things are continuing to push up so far, looking like higher low, but also potentially lower high here. So that's where we're getting this symmetrical triangle pattern from. So once that breaks, I think we'll have a much better idea of where the market is going to go here in the near term at least. And again, there's a lot of things I could see bullish and bearish about this. So I'd just say, assume a fairly neutral bias stance on everything right now, and until this breaks, and then use that to kind of help inform your trading decisions and whether or not you focus more on upside or downside setups. All right, so with that out of the way, let's go through some of these trade plans that we did both over the weekend and during some of these live streams. I'm going to go ahead and just close this ES tab. We can save and close that. So I'm going to start off with Microsoft. This is one from the weekend. Member selected tickers. Microsoft yesterday did break out over our call entry level, gave us a back test pre-market. Was pushing up, pretty much ripped right out of the gate to PT2. Came back and started riding the 16 WMA back to the upside. Got very close to our second price target there at that rejection. What was the high of that candle? 336.14. So 22 cents off. That's that's within a reasonable range. It's not as close as I like it to really kind of be like, oh yeah, we nailed that level. But what's up, Trade Alerts? Thanks for coming. Thanks for helping sort of keep things flowing in the chat. I appreciate you, brother. So a little bit of a shortfall here on hitting that PT2. The thing that's kind of interested me about Microsoft is it does have a downtrend that it's been fighting with, and that looked like a pretty convincing breakout, though it did not hold. We're now back below that trend line. I think it was a 2-hour trend line that I was looking at. Yeah, something like that. 2-hour, 4-hour, somewhere in that neighborhood. Maybe it was 4-hour. Those are not quite as clean as I thought they were. No, yeah, it had to, unless it was an hourly. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out, remember what time frame exactly I drew this trend line on. Oh yeah, maybe it was off the hourly. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. So yeah, I was basing that off the hourly. Again, we did get a break over some back testing. Looked like it was bouncing, but slipped back below. Coming back to test an interesting confluence though there at 329.41 and the 100 SMA here on the hourly chart. So keep an eye on that. I could see a bounce somewhere in this area between 329.41 and 327.63. This chart and these levels are in the watch list. I posted this plan in there from the member selected tickers voting over the weekend. So keep your eyes on Microsoft. The plan is there for you in the options watch list channel. Go check it out if you need a copy of it to refer back to. All right, NVIDIA was another one that we planned out. This one did get to PT1 also, although it did give us an opportunity to get in. Opened, pushed high, came back, back tested the bottom of this Neptune trend ribbon, which is kind of the heaviest selling pressure on that particular indicator. Also heavy heavy buying pressure on both that indicator as well as the Neptune flag, which is from the Neptune trading system. And so again, nice double bottom off of our stop loss average down, that confluence of buying support right there. Pushed us all the way up to PT1. PT1 seemed to be kind of pretty tough resistance up there. So still trying to fight through that, coming back down to really test that bounce level that we pushed off of yesterday. So again, another one to kind of watch early going into the trading day here. Could see a bounce on this one also, and also coming up to a pretty decent trend line that it's had in place for, gosh, I forget how far back this one goes. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, it goes back to about September that we've seen some pretty good bounces off of. So lots of confluence of support down here. Could see NVIDIA maybe a little dip and rip kind of day, similar to what I was sort of looking at with Microsoft. Tesla was another one that we did over the weekend. Did make an attempt to push out over and actually it confirmed a break over our call entry level. Seems to have been a little bit hung up. They do have earnings coming up on Wednesday, so big cognizant of that. So far, ultimately, looks like it's held pretty well. Well, actually, it has held since breaking above the call entry level stop loss, so should still be in this one, even though it hasn't been performing the best as far as, or not the easiest, I should say. It's still perfectly fine and valid plan. So 251.89, keep a close eye on that. You also have the 333 SMA down there. That's a moving average I like to watch a lot. So again, another opportunity for possible bounce off one of our plan levels to start the day there on Tesla. Somebody asked about Broadcom in the chat there. We did do a plan on this one. It was out on last Thursday's live stream. Put this one together and it just absolutely ripped. Got over our call entry level fairly shortly after open. Let's see if we got, I think it even gave us a little bit of a back test, didn't it? Nah, it just straight ran. So big candle right off the call entry level. If you're, one of those like to start the day jumping into trades early, which I am not, but some people are, interesting setup there, opening right on the call entry level. Again, me personally, I wouldn't have touched it. I didn't wind up playing Broadcom at all myself. I think I was playing AMD this particular day quite a bit. But once this buying pressure caught back up with the price action somewhere around here, that's where I would have probably been a little more interested to get in with a stop loss at the call entry level. Because if I leave it all the way down here, then my risk reward's upside down, getting to PT1. Ultimately cleared over, back tested PT1, struggled with PT2 a little bit. 16 WMA caught up, pushed things for that next leg higher, came very close. 918, a few dollars off from our ultimate target there. Got very close to tapping it here the following day, but has since pulled back and is now, at least pre-market, looked like it's building another move off of our call entry level. I'm sorry, that was pre-market yesterday. Currently holding kind of an interesting confluence right here at 894.19. We've got a pivot here, bottom of the Neptune flag, which is the highest buying pressure potential as far as that indicator works. So yeah, it looks like it could, another one that could bounce kind of right out of the gate here this morning. AMD, I mentioned just a minute ago, another one holding some key supports, holding this trend line. We did get a little bit of a pre-market dip below, but this is a higher time frame trend line. Ultimately, it did hold up, hasn't been invalidated. We are testing it again here this morning, so another one that looks like it could, potentially either just bounce or dip and rip, or we see an actual breakdown. But a lot of things testing pretty key supports all at the same time, which tends to make me think that we're looking to potentially bounce here. And then crowd, this one we also did last Thursday on the live stream. Let me get this cleaned up, and this one's been a no trade so far. Fortunately, I think that means that we've set our levels correctly. We're not getting caught in this chop. We keep topping out right at the call entry level, so also have a confluence there with that level, it looks like today, with the traditional R1 pivot sitting right on top of our call level. So over that, could attempt to make some moves that we've been waiting for this one to make, but so far it's been kind of nothing to write home about. So let's see, old school, what platform do I use? I use TradingView, my friend. I will send you a link if you want to sign up for a TradingView account. They have free accounts. I certainly recommend getting a paid account because it gives you a lot of bells and whistles that they used to offer in their free accounts, but they've kind of slowly but surely stripped away, which is a bummer, because when I first started using TradingView, you had a lot available that was just totally free of charge, and they, like I said, have continued to sort of strip away what is a part of that free license. So, but love TradingView to death and absolutely worth the money. I just wish they gave people a little bit more for that free package, but it is what it is. They're a business, they need to make money. All right, so let's take a look at some of our tickers for today. We've got XLU and Amazon on the slate so far, from Navy, Plum, and TurboTube. I talked about AVGO for you, B2018. So I guess, wait, there's a specific question. Can AVG go to 877? Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's heading there quickly. I wonder why it's dumping so hard pre-market. But I mean, yeah, it looks like you're about to get your wish one way or the other, and that is a pretty key level around 877.17. Another one where we've got a confluence there with one of our pivots for the day. So anytime I'm kind of handling a trade plan and I'm looking at my support and resistance levels, these pivots move each day. They don't stay in the same spot. They're calculated on the prior day's movement. When I see a pivot kind of perfectly match up with one of my levels, it might change a little bit what level I'm actually kind of looking at. So for example, if I was trading this, well, looks like that, yeah, some kind of weird scammy pre-market wick there, never mind. But like for instance, we're below, what would that be, S3, we got a key level here, so I might be looking for this to break to actually play the downside with a target down here at this next confluence, and vice versa, playing back to the upside. I do have a level here that also has a confluence, but it's just not one that I have as sort of one of the key levels in this plan. However, that might make it a key level to watch for the day. So anyway, just a quick aside about these pivots and how they can be used alongside support and resistance, which is how I always use them. All right, so let's get to XLU. XLU is not one I've traded a lot personally, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm still gonna chart it, still gonna come up with a good plan for it. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I even have any existing analysis on this chart. I don't think I do, which is fine. Oh, something way up here. Maybe some fib extensions for some reason that we were doing a demonstration on or something. I don't know. All right, so let's hide these indicators, weekly chart. Let's get to mapping out some support and resistance levels. I'm going to go ahead and kind of figure out where I want my near-term bottom to be. It's probably going to be, let's see, where are you, weekly level? This is kind of an interesting one. Let's see. Yeah, this is an interesting bounce here too, though. Just don't. Well, you know what? I take it back. There's like a little zone there between those two spots. I wasn't sure that this was an actual support and resistance level just based on the rest of the price action, but the more I looked at it, I was able to see where it does actually make a good case there. That's an interesting top out. That's trading view. Yeah, that's a great point, Chris. Definitely, if you're going to get a paid version of Trading View, please make sure to. Um, I would get like the least expensive one possible to start out with. I forget what it is. I'm on their highest level one. Have been for years now, but I think it's called like Pro or something. I think it's like Pro Plus, and Premium or something. Are there like 3 tiers of plans that they have for subscription? So if you're thinking, if you kind of need certain things that like custom time frames and all that sort of stuff that you need kind of more immediately, that you have to have at least some paid version of TradingView to get access to, go ahead and get the Pro or whatever plan. And then what you can do is when Black Friday rolls around, if you want to go ahead and move up to like one of the real Cadillac level plans that just has all the bells and whistles, do that on Black Friday. And then when you're doing that, you sign up for, an annual license, an annual period at whatever that new subscription level is. And so that way, what happens is your renewal for TradingView comes up on Black Friday every year, which saves you 70% every year, depending on what plan you're going with. So, um, yeah, definitely. TradingView is the charting platform I recommend to anybody and everybody. It is my personal favorite. I've used a lot of them. All right, I might be getting a little bit into the weeds on these weekly levels. I think I am. Let me just make sure I don't see anything else that really sticks out as potential areas that we're going to want to pay attention to. This is a little bit. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting level too, actually. All right, I think that's good, at least for where I see the price action going anytime soon. So let's now start to dig into this a little bit more. Go through some of these areas and nail down our support resistance levels. But the good part about this is that if we ever need to do an XLU plan again, excuse me, all this work will be done for us, which is nice. NVIDIA and AMD just, oh, they did? Let's see. Oh, God. what is happening with semiconductors? Yeah, I mean, certainly that changes my opinion. I mean, very much, AMD was very much based on it. It's continually skipped and bounced off that trend line. Let's see. Yeah, so 24-hour is a way to look at a daily candlestick chart, but include extended trading hours. If you like to include extended hours when you're looking at charts, I think also whether or not you're looking at extended hours is kind of something that you're going to want to base like on a ticker by ticker basis. Not all tickers have sort of enough volume or true price action during those extended hour sessions. Um, so those I would just use a daily chart for, and you just kind of have to learn those over time or look at the smaller time frames and figure it out. But um, yeah, generally speaking, I use the 24-hour time frame unless I know it's a ticker that doesn't trade well or have true movement during extended hours trading. Then I use the daily chart. So anyway, that's why I have the two. Yeah, there actually is an indicator that Xtrades offers. It's one that I've put together called Ultimate Moving Averages. If you want to DM me about that, I'm happy to get you set up. As long as you're a paying Xtrades member, you can have access to it for no additional charge. So yeah, just DM me. We'll get you set up with that. It's a pretty robust moving average indicator. Lets you do a lot of stuff and only uses one slot on your chart, which is really important for those with free or entry level trading view plans. All right, sorry, I got distracted a little bit by that question about semiconductors dumping, and I wonder why they all started dumping together all at once. Maybe some more news on that AI chips to China thing that was floating around the other day, possibly. I'm not totally sure. I haven't seen the news because I'm here working with you guys on some stuff, but we'll see if we can't get if anybody wants to, while I'm working on this, go see if we can't wrangle up a explanation on why semiconductors all just yap the bed. I'd be interested to know. That is probably right about there. There. All right. Let's see. Um, hmm. Yeah, I think this one's more right there. Okay, sorry, got a little mesmerized by trying to spot that level. I was playing price action out in my brain. Come on, let's get back to current. Okay. All right, let's dig into some of these hourly charts then. And then we should be good to go after this one. We'll get to our next trade plan. Yeah, so we got time. Should have time. Use restriction. Yeah, okay, yeah, I was right. I figured that's what it was. There was that kind of floating around in the ether. What was that, yesterday? I think I was a little preoccupied yesterday. My apologies. I just dealing with the current landscape with interest rates and all that stuff for trying to move real estate has been a real pain in the butt. But getting closer to being done with this sale of this property. All right, let's go back here. So, where are you, price action? There we go. Let me map out. Well, yeah, and another good rule of thumb I would just throw in there is, I mean, give yourself 30 days at minimum. I mean, if you want to, if you're not sure what to do, give yourself 30 days and put your strikes either, don't go more than one or two strikes away from being in the money. That's kind of a good, just very basic general rule of thumb. Yeah, yeah, good point, Chris. Absolutely. And I mean, even the daily spy plan, I mean, certainly when I first, when I first developed it and the way I was using it, I mean, I was almost exclusively trading 0 day contracts. I feel like that's intentionally become more challenging because they now have them every day, and it's probably a massive source of premium collection for market makers when they can shake people out and burn theta all day. So I've personally started playing, essentially in the money or one strike out of the money, quote unquote, out the money strikes. And I mean, I'm buying at least 3 day expirations if I'm playing contracts for the spy plan. Sometimes I buy more if I think it's the start of a bigger move, more time, I mean. But yeah, there's no such thing as having too much time on your options contract. I'm sure there's a scenario and somebody will come up with a case where I would say, you know what, you're right, that is a scenario where there's too much time. But I mean, for the most part, it's a having more time on your contracts would be a good problem. Long story short. All right, so let's get to planning this guy. I think we're ready. I want to check. Looks like we pretty clearly have a trend line kind of shooting us to the upside here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see if we have anything from a downside perspective still in the way. It doesn't look like it. It looks like we may have broken out and back tested any trend line that was there. It looks like maybe there was something right through there. Yeah, it's a big maybe. Probably a little bit more like that, actually. Yeah, and there's your breakout back test, and now we're riding this ascending trend line. So overall, XLU looking pretty bullish. Pop these indicators on, see what that shows us. $333 SMA right there overhead. Interesting little, probably supply zone that we have right here overhead, just looking at how this price action played out through there. So I think what we can do is we can use that to our advantage. We set an entry. Yeah, good, Roxer. That's what I like to hear. If you realize that you're making mistakes, change things and improve. So what I'm looking at, this should get us out of this little nastiness and up over all these indicators here, at least on the hourly time frame. I'm pretty sure things are gonna look pretty bullish. Anything below the hourly at this point, and we're riding this trend line. So XLU is kind of looking like a good opportunity to maybe even try to catch a bounce off this trend line if you're looking for something aggressive to get into. But going back to our original plan or the planning process, 60-60 looks like the level to break to me. That should give us a first target, I think, up here at 61.56. There is a weekly level here, but I mean, we got one little back test of it. To me, it looks like this overall downside move created a fair value gap and imbalance that could take us up to 61.56. That's why I'm shooting maybe a little high on that. And then, yeah, kind of another scenario where we just sort of knifed right through a bunch of levels, which I think, looking at things, takes us up right about to 62.66. Thereabouts. Second price target. Third price target. And it could go to 63.74, but I don't want to be too greedy. There is potential for it to get shut down. The momentum to get shut down at 63.38. So I'm going to shoot one level conservative on that price target to the upside, to the downside. Where does this downside really open up? To me, it looks like it's a little bit of a wait, but there's a bunch of stuff in the way, long story short, that could potentially create a bounce anywhere along the way. I mean, I could look at a potential entry here at 58.94, but it would be risky. I think I would much prefer to have that level as more of a backstop on a trade plan. Let's make that our stop loss average down. The entry is the one that I'm really kind of torn on. I don't want us to get into this too quickly and get caught by this confluence down here with the 200 SMA. This is going to move, but I think that's the more confirmed entry, to be perfectly honest. It's might be a little bit of, and honestly, you could start to get into short positions if we break below this trend line, but again, I'd be a little bit careful doing that. It is a higher time frame trend line. We did have this one sort of print way down here, but if you look at this again on the 4-hour, we hold up. So, technically still valid, but this kind of makes me a little bit nervous about putting a ton of weight or a ton into how much of a factor this trend line is, but overall, with that one exception, it looks really clean. All right, so going back to our trade plan, I think we've got to give this, again, room down to here, which gives us a fairly decent sized risk area. Our reward zone, first price target to me, looks like it sits right here. So then the question becomes, yeah, I mean, it's barely over a 1-to-1 risk reward on that, so just be mindful. Second price target at this weekly level. Third price target, let's see if we make a double bottom down near here. I drew these levels quickly. I don't mind nudging that a little bit. 3 cents off of where we had it. In fact, let's just make it an even. Yeah, we'll go 54.80. That sounds good. So those are 3 price targets to the downside. Here is the trade plan for XLU. So what we're looking at here on XLU is for a break over 60.60 with targets at 61.56, 62, 66, and 63.38 with a stop loss average down at 60.06. Again, pay attention to this trend line for now, and also keep an eye on a break over that 60.06 level. That would get us over the 333 SMA here on the hourly chart. Keeps that trend line intact and also kind of in close proximity, so could see potentially a more aggressive early entry there. To the downside, I'd be looking for a break below, what is that, 58.02? Yeah, 58.02 with targets at, sorry, I'm going to have to expand this a little bit. Targets at 56.87, 55.92, and 54.80 with the stop loss average down at 58.94. Again, be mindful of this confluence here on the hourly chart with the 200 SMA and our put entry level. So that is your XLU trade plan. You're very welcome, Navy Plum. Thanks for always being here, and thanks for the ticker request. Okay, what was the next one we had lined up? Amazon or Turbo Tube. This should go a little bit quicker because I do have levels on it already. Let's turn off the noise real quick. This is no longer a factor, whatever this was. That's interesting. Yeah, Amazon on a breakout and back test of what was a downtrend I was watching. So that's very intriguing, but is broken over and already back tested, so I don't think we need that anymore. It does look like it might be building a new trend. Probably not going to catch that. It should catch this. Yeah, I mean, that looks like 1, 2, 3 to me. So, does need to bounce to hold this trend. It is a little bit of an aggressive one that I just drew. Also, potentially is dealing with right there, so we'll keep that in mind. All right, let's see. I do want to see some indicators. Kind of a mishmash, a whole bunch of stuff kind of all flipping back and forth all at once. But I'm noticing consistent selling pressure at 2 different points in time around this 134.11 level. Question for me is, where does this really start to open up? Is it right there, or do we shoot one level higher for an entry and use that as our stop loss? Well, you know what, though? Here's what I will say. All right. Yeah, let's look for it. I'm looking at it like this. Break over this 134.11 level, which also puts us over this downtrend. So we're kind of breaking multiple factors. I think that that really could bring momentum in to Amazon. So a downtrend that we, or an uptrend that we validated at some point there. Breaking all kinds of trend lines on Amazon. All right. So over that, then the question becomes, I don't know if I worry about that so much. I'm really kind of thinking it's 136.97 is going to be our first price target. Yeah, that's what we're going to go with. So let's clear up the confusion here, which then gives us stop loss. I need to brighten up this line. It's a little too dark. Yeah, right where I was looking. 132.69 stop loss. This is our first target up here. Second target. Second target's up here. Third target. I think there's a level here that I just don't have on my chart. It should be our third price target, in my opinion. So let's, again, just to clear up any confusion. All right, there we go. So there's our entry, stop loss, PT123 for the upside, downside. Looks like we're flirting with an old trade plan right here at this. Let's bring this up a little bit. 130.16 level. That was an old trade plan The target, first target around 128.36. I don't know if that's how we want to play this though. Let's see. This level's actually probably just a little tiny bit there. Yeah, this is a weird one. The way this price action has played out here recently just gives me some pause as to what levels I want to really hone in on for this one. So, badass. Yeah, what I personally do, right, is I go through multiple time frames and I color code my support and resistance levels based on the time frame that I'm drawing them on, and then I'm looking at, depending on if I'm looking for a swing or if I'm looking for more of a short-term trade, will depend on what time frame I'm looking at to actually execute the trade. So if I'm day trading or short-term trading, I'd say, generally I'm looking at the 3, 5, and 15-minute time frames. But because I color code these levels, I can tell, okay, this is a weekly level, that's a 4-hour level, that's a daily level, and those factor into sort of how I plan my trades and how I execute them. So hopefully that's helpful. But yeah, I mean, I personally draw support and resistance levels off multiple time frames. I just color code them to make sure that I'm tracking sort of what each level means or where it came from. So I hope that's helpful. For scalping, I mean, probably there's some people who swear by the 1-minute chart. I'm not in that group, so I don't personally ever really look at the 1-minute chart. I'd say probably 3-minute chart, 3 and 5-minute if you're scalping. All right, so trying to nail down. Now it's starting to make a little bit more sense to me. It's still not a great setup the way that this is panning out. So I'm trying to figure out how do we trying to figure out how do we get the right entry on this one. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to change this around a little bit. All right. I'm thinking we wait, we take an entry down here at 128.82. With a first target at this weekly level at 125.33. Move my stop loss to here at 130.16. Now this is starting to look like a trade plan. Second price target. I don't know why I made these levels so dark. I'm going to nudge this up just a little bit. Right to there. I do want it to actually hit. So it might have been just a touch low. So second price target 123.15. Then the question becomes, what do we look for under that level? Yeah, to me, I think we're shooting for 120.84. All right, make sure I don't have any weird. Okay, cool. So this is what our Amazon trade plan looks like. Don't forget to keep an eye on these trend lines, draw them on your charts. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. All right, so here's our Amazon trade plan. Oh, fingers on home road, please. Come on. What is that? A blah 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 plan? There we go. All right, so Amazon trade plan. We're looking for a break over 134.11 to take this to the upside with targets at 136.97. Is that 139.29? Got too many levels stacked in there. Yeah, 139.29. Let's see if I can find a better way of visualizing this for you guys. All right, you know what I'm going to do? Sorry. Pop this over because it's going to be hard to see. And I don't want that. So let's take this over to this other layout. And I still have some downside levels to grab. There we go. That's better. Oops, forgot one more thing. All right, so delete this post entirely. We're going to try this again. All right, so again, upside break of 134.11, targets 136.97, 139.29, 141.47, stop loss average down at 132.69. To the downside, we're looking for a break of 128.82 with targets at 125.33, 123.15, and 120.84 with a stop loss average down at 130.16. That is your Amazon trade plan. And I can take a quick look at SE, but I won't be able to give you like a full trade plan on it because I do need to move over to working on the SPY plan so I can get that posted. That goes in the options watch list channel every morning. It's a daily plan with precise levels on how exactly to execute SPY trades for the day. If you guys are doing SPY, let's see. If you're new and you haven't been following it, I certainly recommend checking that options watch list channel every morning, pretty close to market open, for the daily SPY plan that I post in there. So SE, I mean, overall looks pretty bullish. Looks like it's losing possibly a little bit of momentum. 45.88 would be a really good level for it to hold. Overall trends to the upside. 43.98, I'd be buying the dip. So that's just kind of at a glance what it looks like to me. Below 43.98, if you did buy the dip, I think you could give it down to 42.52 first stop for a stop loss level. So anyway, just kind of a quick glance at it. I'm not gonna don't have time for a full trade plan. So all right, with that, I am gonna go start working on this daily SPY plan. So I wish you guys the best of luck today. You will see me around in the chats, although I will be in and out. I do have a couple of things juggling away from the markets today, but again, light at the end of the tunnel with all this stuff, so I'm hoping to be more active as we go to close out the month of October. But we'll be back here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so come join us again for more FOMO live stream. With that, I'm going to hit you guys with our soundboard here. Plan your trades and trade your plan, folks. That's right. So I wish you guys the best of luck. I will see you in the chat, and I will see you back here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.